Are you preparing for an interview? I'm sure you would have done a lot of work in terms of building your confidence. You would have done a lot of work with respect to the role that you are applying for, and also what could be the potential question that the interviewer might ask. Well friends, today I am going to talk about 15 difficult questions or tough questions that an interviewer is likely to ask you in any given interview. Well, to understand that, let me first tell you that I am not referring to any questions which are tell me about yourself, what are your achievements. These are all very normal questions. Why do you want to join us? Why do you want to leave your current job? I'm not referring to any of these. I am straight away now going to tell you that there are some very difficult and tough questions that the interviewer always asks, because they want to know what are your belief systems, what are your thinking patterns, and also to understand that how much information that you can provide to them basis the role that you have applied for. Sometimes you may see that interviewer will ask you a question randomly, that if you are a tree, which kind of tree you would be. Now, it is not the answer, it is the thinking behind that answer, the logic that you provide, the rationale that you provide will define whether you have applied that thought process or not. And that is what exactly tough questions means in an interview. So stay tuned. I'm going to take you through 15 very tough questions that I have selected out of so many, and I would be also giving you the rationale and the logic that you need to bring together while you answer those questions. So stay tuned, and also don't forget to like, subscribe this channel if you find that these questions, these thoughts are adding value to you and many others in your network. The first question that I have chosen today is, describe one or two your biggest disappointments in your work history. Now, very simple, that this question simply wants to understand that areas where you did not do well. Mind you, these are not areas of improvement that they are asking, they are simply asking you areas you did not do well. Now, a lot of time it becomes very difficult to answer this question, but having said that, if you are very well prepared, that what kind of learnings you have got out of those failures, areas where you could not do well, is what they are looking at. So you have to choose very carefully about whether you talk about performance, whether you talk about your achievements with respect to the work that you are doing, or the project that you have not been able to complete as per the timelines, that you have to think very carefully. But the logic is, even if you have failed, what learning did you get and how you work better in the next assignment or the next opportunity that was given to you. Question number 2, what would be some of your areas of improvement? Now, when the interviewer is asking you this question, a lot of time people are not well versed with what are those areas of improvement that they really need to work upon. Now, at this point of time, be very careful in answering the question, because sometimes your areas of improvement can also be counterproductive relative to the job that you have applied for. In that case, first thing is, you need to tell that, let's say that you are working on your presentation skills. Now, when you say it's an area of improvement, that means you are working hard to build that area. So talk about that you are taking some training, you are taking some courses, or you are taking some coaching, and this is how you are shaping that area of improvement, what you are doing. Not just that, okay, I have a issue of, or my improvement area is time management, or my improvement area is presentation skills. Tell what exactly you are doing because of that improvement area if you have identified. This is what exactly that they are looking at. Question number 3, when you have been told or you have identified yourself about a problem, what have you done at that stage, and give some examples. Now, this is where, first of all, they want to see that are you an initiator. If you have really identified a problem on your own in the current existing scheme of things, have you identified any gap due to which the results are not coming as per the desired level? That shows that you are a person who is an initiator, who wants to make things happen, who wants to drive things. So think about certain examples, that how you have identified some problems in the existing process systems of the organization where you are currently working, and what did you exactly do as an example that has been able to fulfill that problem or gap. If you are lacking that idea, then I'm sure there is an indication that you are not an initiator. You are a person who just keeps sitting, and you need direction to achieve certain things. That's how that every question has certain competencies that people want to drive out. Question number 4. Can you give me some example of supervising or managing others? A lot of time people who are on individual contributor role, they get confused because they say that I don't have anyone reporting to me and I don't have that experience. Well, in very simple terms, when you are asked a particular question, it is not just that you have to have people reporting to you, but it can be that you are a part of the project where you have to supervise a lot of things that are happening. How did you collaborate? How did you manage those people, manage those situations, is what that they are looking at when you are answering it. But if you simply say that, I don't have anyone, I'm an individual contributor role, which clearly shows that you have not applied and you have not actually understood the question. While you would have done something in your previous roles about managing people or supervising them. So think about it when you are answering this question. Now let's move to question number 5. And it says that what are few things in your job that you would like to avoid and why? Now imagine that they are trying to understand your behavior, that how do you deal with certain things that you want to avoid. So I can suggest few thoughts, maybe that any time delays on a project, that is what you want to avoid, or giving unwanted excuses is something that you want to avoid, or anything that is leading to non-compliant thing you would like to avoid. Now many a times people do not understand randomly when this question is asked that what they need to answer. So paying attention on these areas shows that you are very determined, you are very disciplined, and you are a very organized person. When you talk about that you have no excuse, you don't give excuses, you don't delay things in your project, and you meet your timelines. So think about these areas when you are answering this particular question. Now let's move to question number 6, and it says that what are some of the problems that you encounter in your job on day-to-day basis, and which one frustrates you more, and how do you deal about them? A very interesting question, because any answer that you give from here is going to define your behavior, your belief system, your thinking process. So a few tips that I can give you. Number 1, you can talk about that areas where it frustrates you more in your job, the traditional way or maybe the older ways of doing things, because you want to bring change, you want to add new angle to the situation. Innovation is something that you're trying. When that is not happening, is something that frustrates you. And what you can do about it is that you can start small. You can give an example that how did you start it on a small basis, on a small case basis, share that success story in your group, and then how it became a bigger example for many other employees to follow. Or it could be that another area that you can talk about is that when people are not sure about, when I'm not sure about my career path, how it is going to go further, is something that frustrates me. So I'm a career oriented person is what get reflected out of it. And the answer is that how do you do that? Maybe you have signed up for a special course with some special college or a B school to upgrade your skill because you want to grow in your career. So think about this particular piece. I'm sure you will be able to give a better answer to this very tricky. Question number 7. How does this job fit well with respect to your career goals? Well, a very simple thing that you need to understand that why you are applying for this job. What is your career goal? And think about it, the competencies that you want to excel in, you want to really develop over a period of time to reach your goal. Is this job going to give you? So you can very well tell about this, that this particular job has the requirement of those skills which I have, and I can build it in the advanced form if I get an opportunity to reach my goal. So whatever it may be your goal, what are those competencies? Just stay focused on next question. What would you like to achieve most if you had this job in your hand? Now again, in this, the interviewer is trying to understand that if you are offered this job or if you are a part of this job, where would you like to see this job going to deliver in terms of its full potential? So you can think of the role that you are applying for and what is the benchmark of that role that you can take up to with respect to the desired and the best performance that you can give in that particular role is related to this question. So talk about those experiences that you had in the past, talk about those situations where you have been able to build on those competencies that you were able to take this role to the desired level. What kind of problems people have called upon you to discuss and solve in the recent past? Now, this question is again having a deep depth, because here the interviewer is checking whether you are approachable, where people are reaching you out in discussing their problems. That means you have acted as a leader. If yes, then yes, people have looking up to you as a role model and they are looking forward to get their problem solved. So the best way is to tell about that how you have been a very important part in your group, in your peer group, and how people have come forward to you in discussing their problem, what kind of problems they are, whether it is related to performance or project completion or teamwork. You have to think on those lines and answer this particular question. The last time you did not know what decision to make, what did you do? Now in this question, the interviewer is really looking forward an answer that did you approach your seniors, your peers, or maybe your parents or your friends when you were stuck? A lot of time people do not know that what exactly to bring as a right perspective to this answer. Well, here they are really looking forward that when you are clueless about your decisions, when you are not sure about that which decisions you are going to take, did you take help of any seniors, your boss or somebody in peer? And that shows your collaborating skills. That shows about that how flexible you are in taking decisions and reaching out to other people in your role. So do think about it when you are answering this particular piece of question. In your position, how would you define a good job? Well, here they are asking you what are the standards that you have set for yourself when you are looking for a good job, because that is one of the very important reasons that people move out when they are searching for a good and challenging job. Now here they are asking you to define that. Now what is very important here is that are you really able to highlight that a job which I love and that gives me the freedom to operate the way I want to so that I can give the best out of me is something a good job means to me. And if I get that environment, I'll be able to produce more than 100% of my capability and my capacity. Now, an answer like this can really impress upon the interviewer that what kind of role that you are looking at when it comes to a good job. Now, some leadership questions. What kind of approach you take when you want that people should accept your ideas or your approach? Now here the question is simply means that are you able to take people along and how do you do that? So when you answer this question, you need to think about certain situations when people were not agreeing and they were not coming together. You change your approach, you maybe involve a participative approach, you involve people into some assignments together, and as a team you were able to deliver. Now this is something that they are looking at, whether it was a participative approach, democratic approach, authoritative approach or an autocratic approach. So this is how they understand that what kind of leadership skills you take when there are tough situations, when you have to involve a lot of different people together to achieve a common task. What has been the highest pressure situation in the recent past that you have been under? Now everyone has different pressure points when they are working in a particular job, in a particular role. Now you have to think about it that what kind of situation, because they are asking a situation, that what kind of situation you need to narrate. So first thing is that if you are prepared with these questions, you have some of the answers and examples handy with you. Please do that prior to all your interviews. Now tell about that, how did you manage that situation? So it could be that you had to meet certain timelines and you are going away, or your teammate left during that situation. He left the job or he was sick and he was not able to be on time, and the timelines were really missing, and you were in very high pressure situations because you had committed that this project will be complete. Now think about those examples in your narration when you are answering this, because this is what they are testing: your thinking, your behavior, and how did you come out as a hero in that difficult time or a difficult pressure situations which may come in future also in that role. What has been the most important event or person in your life which has been helpful in your personal development? Now, this question is clearly targeting that: do you have a role model? Do you really look up to your own development? Do you participate in training? Do you engage yourself in your development? Now, all these things are indicating that do you have a role model or a guide or a coach in your life? Why? Because you cannot accomplish everything by your own. You always need to have support of many people who make you who you are today and who you would be in future. So do mention and highlight about the recent trainings, development programs, or the coach or the guide or the mentor that you have who is helping you to develop yourself. That clearly shows that this gentleman has a thought clarity. He really wants to build himself up to the next goal or the position that he's targeting to qualify. Now we come to the last question, and that is: describe your supervisor or your manager or your boss. Now again, a lot of people talk about a big high notes about their bosses, their managers. Very important thing is that you have to give a very balanced feedback that how he has been instrumental in developing you, and however there are certain areas that you don't disagree, you disagree with your boss. And how do you put it? Because if you only paint the rosy picture, it clearly reflects that you are not giving an answer which is appropriate. You are just giving a mugged up answer, that how my boss is great and how he looks, how he behaves, and how he has helped me to develop. Not only that, you have to tell that there are certain areas always that we don't agree, and we have healthy debates, and that's how we that's how we agree on certain timelines, and that's how we work together, and we enjoy and respect each other's opinion, and that is very important. Well, so if you have gone through all these 15 questions and you have your own examples ready, then I'm sure your confidence level in giving an interview would go 10 times high. You are much prepared, you are much more in control when you are giving an interview. Because mind you that every interview that takes place, particularly these tough questions, are meant to know your thinking process, your behaviors, the patterns that you have, and the experience you carry in solving those problems which may come in the future in the new role that you are applying. Because past is a predictor of future, and all these questions are only trying to find out why you did something and how you did something. And when you answer the whys and the hows, you are basically reflecting your behaviors, and those behaviors finally reflect on the competencies that the interviewer is searching. So I believe that this entire episode of 15 tough questions that you might encounter in your interview would have been useful to you, and I'm sure this would give you a brilliant ideas in your own way to produce when you go for an next interview in future. And I look forward to your comments, your feedbacks, and do subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching me.